Today on Better by Next Week, we're joined in the greenhouse by endurance athletes Joel Sexton and David Gatt, two guys who are constantly chasing their limits. We dive into vulnerability, what running strips back, and what the sport ultimately means to us, not just as athletes, but as humans trying to figure out life along the way. It's a big, honest conversation with plenty of laughs. And if you hear a few unexpected noises in the background, that's just farm life, with a couple of special guest appearances from our orphan lambs. We promised they stopped once they got a bottle in their mouths.
All right, well, thanks heaps, guys, for coming on. We really appreciate it. A little bit of an intro to both of you. Joel, you've represented Australia in backyard ultras, and you've kind of really come out of nowhere with your running. 1 minute you're doing 24 hours of backyard ultra, next minute you're on the start line of an Australian team. Gatty, you're known for your heroics at King of the Hill for the last 2 years. But your passion for draining the well is like crazy in mountain races, and it's legendary. King of the dandies, right? as you're well known. And you've also, down under, you've had a couple cracks at that, and then I had the pleasure of running with you this year at Down Under. So welcome to the greenhouse, and thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Well, there had to be a spark initially at the start of this ultra running journey for you guys. What made you fall in love with the suffering that is ultra running?
So suffering. As you know, I love suffering. I love going deep in a lot of these races, and I've been questioning why I love it so much. And for me, it's the thing that ignites growth, and I've seen tremendous amounts of growth in me over the last, 10 years or so doing this stuff. Like, I often don't do, 20K, 30K, 50K races anymore because I can't find that level of suffering and hurt. So that's pretty much why I do 100 miles or my own crazy self-endurance runs that I create and stuff. And that's pretty much it. There's so many reasons behind the suffering, but I said to my wife this morning, she goes, just make sure you talk about how much hurt you love doing because, you love it so much. But yeah, we can touch on that as well.
Do you reckon some of that suffering, it's not the suffering that you enjoy, it's the post suffering that you enjoy, like the feeling of achievement and all that. So you kind of reflect back on that suffering and you say to yourself, oh man, I don't want to suffer like that, but I love this feeling after I've done it.
Yeah, in the moment, I hate it, right? It's like, I think for a lot of us, in that moment where you're deep in, you're like 140 Ks into a race, everyone you're speaking to is suffering around you as well. And but when you finish, there's just like this euphoric feeling of, wow, I did it, I achieved something that 10 years ago, I never thought was possible. It's funny when, Ollie, you might not remember this, but I remember when you were a little kid and your dad had long hair and I saw him at the U-Yangs and I was doing like the 40K or the 42K at the UEs. And I saw your dad doing the 100 miler and he just looked so happy. But I could tell he was suffering at the same time.
I was miserable.
Just miserable. But had a smile on his face.
He looked like Jesus.
It was biblical, right? Yeah. And I remember seeing him and I said, like, I want to be like that. I want to get to that point where I can sit in pain, be happy about it, but knowing that at the end of it, there's just going to be a tremendous amount of growth. So,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Like, growth was the word I was thinking of too, because you learn so much about yourself when you put yourself in that amount of pain or that level of suffering. And yeah, it's like you finish those events and you feel that overwhelming sense of like achievement and it is overwhelming. It's like you're almost in awe of what has just happened and you feel emotional about it. And you even sort of feel emotional just talking about like those sorts of events and that feeling that it instills in you. And you finish it and you're thinking, wow, I just achieved this. I just did something that, like you said, like 10 years ago, you would never imagine you would be able to do. What else can I do? And it just fills you with wonder and awe and, excitement about what's next. And you're actually looking forward to going into that deep cave again.
Yeah.
So you can experience it again and find something else about yourself in it, because it's all about growth and becoming a better person.
Do you feel like it's almost like an investment in yourself as well? Like when you're with running and all the suffering, and you're almost leveling yourself up, and it's not something that it's not easily acquired.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's because it's so hard to get better, and it's such a hard thing? Do you reckon that, like the suffering itself is like the vehicle to becoming better?
Yeah, I do now, especially now that, I've made sort of running my identity, and it is the thing that if I invest more in it, it gives so much more back. Yeah, definitely. So the more you go into that, I don't want to say that dark place, because it's a great place, but the more you go into that suffering and push yourself, the more it gives back in so many ways. It makes you a better runner. It makes you probably stronger in the mind, but it just gives back so many ways in life as well. Like, teaches those life lessons.
Well, how do you reckon running has changed your life? Like from before you were an ultra runner, and then now as an ultra runner, how do you reckon it's changed your life?
In so many ways, like it's made me be more honest with myself, which in turn sort of makes me more honest with other people, which that sort of gives you a confidence where you're no longer holding back. You're no longer worried about what other people think of you. You're just putting yourself out there, and if they don't like it, then who cares? And that's a good place to be mentally, to have that sort of confidence. But apart from that, it's just changed the direction of my life. Like, I talked about it with Liam the other day. It was like, before I just felt like I was going through the motions of life. Like, you go to work, you do your thing, you might run for fitness or something. But the more I've invested in running, especially ultra running and trail running and big distances, it's opened up this whole new world to me. Like, this trail running community for a start, which is just, welcomed me with open arms. And it's taken me all around the world. It's taken me all around Australia, meeting fascinating people, and every event you go to, every race you go to, whether you're spectator, volunteer, or in it, is an adventure and a positive experience.
You're just doing like more epic stuff. Dad and I actually talk about and reflect on our experiences recently. We're starting the podcast and running more often. It's like you're just doing so much epic stuff. And it's like, compared to what you were doing before, it's almost like you look back and it's like, what was I doing with my time?
You almost fill your life with just epic stuff constantly.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it becomes your identity. Like, running becomes your identity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Similar for you, Gatty, is it?
It is. Like, I just feel like we live in this world where, everyone, like in the modern day, everyone expects instant gratification, right? It's almost like everything is there for us for the taking. And this is like the one thing that I've found which isn't easy. Like, it's hard. And I just said to myself, like, I don't want to wake up one day and I'm inside a retirement village, which I call God's waiting room, right? And you're sitting there around people, and I've got no stories to tell. I've got no moments where I went, wow, like I overcame, this great, challenge that I put in front of me, or, I experienced this level of suffering and I got through it and I'm better for it. And yeah, that's the thing that scares me the most is, waking up and not having those stories, because life's short, it's there to be lived.
Do you also think that it's hard? We always spend a lot of money on these races and just to go in for hurt, but you could just do it anyways. You could just go to the, maybe not King of the Hill because you might get shot on sight, but most of these places you can actually just go to and run. What is it about the running side, like the actual racing the event? What is it about that really is special for you guys?
I think it's the community for me. Like, being surrounded by those people that are all pushing each other, helping each other, wanting the best from each other. And that's probably been one of the most important things for me, is like that is one of the big things that's changed my life is those people and the people you meet and the people that inspire you and the people that give you belief in yourself. That helps. Like, otherwise it is we have enough time on the trails on our own as part of running anyway. Like, there's a lot of solo, a lot of time in your own head. So it's actually when you get to go to those events and then everyone's there and there's an energy. Everyone's picking each other up. It's great.
Especially when you're in the Caprazaks, you talk our heads off.
Yeah, you're running away from the Caprazaks.
Yeah.
Because they're talking your ear off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find the same as well, Gatty? Like with racing, do you race because you enjoy the community and everything like that,
Yeah.
or do you like taking souls at races?
I like both. There's no better community than the ultra running community, or the running community, should I say? Let's be inclusive. But the ultra running community for me is, packed with people that are just basically running psychopaths. They love chasing her. I remember I saw your dad at DU, and he gave me a bit of a word of advice, which was, don't try and hang with me, run your own race.
That's coffee.
Yeah, because you was keeping up for way too long.
I was like, how did I find myself here? But you're right. It's like, that hunt in a race for me gives me so many endorphins. Just, I can see someone in front of me. Clearly they're better than me in my head. And I'm like, I just want to hunt them down and I want to beat them, and I love that. I mean, a lot of my close friends that know me, I'm highly competitive. Like I love to compete. Even when we're on a training run and, mates going up the hill, like I have to beat them. Yeah. So, I love the competitive side of the running.
I saw a little bit of that at King of the Hill, where your crew, Bruce and Brad, when they were there, they're always like, this is what he would give to me, because they're harsh on you when you're really struggling and you probably don't look like you're taking souls. And they're like, he would give this to me, so I have the right to give this to him. So, it's great to see that you got such a cool connection there with your friends there.
Yeah. I think you need it. Like, I think you need to do this type of stuff, and not many people talk about it as often, but you need a strong network of people around you, because you can't do these races solo, and you guys know that. Like, turning up requires an enormous amount of effort. You need a supportive wife. I've got young kids. You need someone who's willing to look after them when you go do these big races. You need friends around you that are there to push you in those dark moments when you look at them and they go, like, why are you complaining for? You love this stuff, and you need that. So,
Joel, when you said everyone's there trying to get each other better and support each other, do you think you thrive on helping people?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking about that when Gatty was talking about that support network, because sometimes it can feel almost selfish when you go into a race, because you think, oh, there's all these people around helping me, and I'm just doing this for me. But I can remember when I was crewing Tim for Backyard Ultras back in, whenever that was, 23 or whatever. I felt like I was getting more out of it than he was. And, that's that part of being with that community and learning and feeling like you're helping someone achieve what they want to achieve. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Do you feel being on the other side first, like not that you hadn't done Backyard Ultras before, but you hadn't.
No, I hadn't.
You hadn't. Yeah, that's right.
You can almost see the cogs ticking over.
Yeah,
as
could
they
you?
go,
Did you find that really helped you when you started racing Backyard Ultras?
Yeah.
That you'd seen the other side and gone, oh, hang on, this is how you do this. This is it. So it made you, like, I mean, because your PB is like 59 hours, which is super impressive. And that was at GV. Did you find it easier being obviously as a crew person first and then racing at those, trying to get to those distances?
Yeah, definitely. I think it sort of eliminated probably those first 3 trial sort of Backyard Ultras where you'd ironing out issues, or even like, you know, most first timers, they'll just rock up and just see how they go. They might bring a chair and an esky and some coconut water and a few biscuits, and then see what
Good old
happens.
coconut
You know what
water.
I mean? But like I think I'd crewed you 3 times before then. I had Sat Champs, Herdies, and Dead Cow Gully before I'd run my own. So I'd seen the planning that goes into it, what you need, what works, what doesn't work, the nutrition, the hydration, the sleep, all those things before I went into my very first one. So at least I had a rough idea of how to set myself up for the best success. The only thing that was sort of untested was how I would actually go. So I could rock up with a good level of base fitness and endurance fitness, and then implement all those things and see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was also knowing that there's a lot more to it than just the physical aspect, knowing that there is a mindset you need to go with. You need to have a few maybe some mantras or some other things going on in the background to push that a little bit further.
Oh, did you find with GV that because you'd crewed and you'd seen everyone's plan and how they did things, that it just like you said, you kind of skipped all that learning phase and then just went straight to being epic at it? Because I remember that first one that I crewed you at, you did 24 hours and you'd had the flu all week. You were absolute crook as, and you still made it through 24 hours. It was nuts.
Yeah. Do you mean GV or that No Time to Die?
Oh, No Time to Die. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's just So you're skipping all these because everyone's seen it. They're like, man, he's gone from 24 to 59.
Yeah,
this is incredible. How did that happen? Do you think that like crewing and stuff like that allowed you to see? I need a plan. I need to make sure I do nutrition
The
right.
things that beginners might not see.
Yeah. That's sort of what I was talking about before. Like even going in with the right setup, like making yourself comfortable. You've got a marquee, you've got a table, you've got a chair.
Yeah.
But definitely the plan. And I think the nutrition and the plan, like having an hourly thing written down as to what's going to happen this hour, what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
It's those things that, you do learn as you go along, because you're not only trying to make it easier for yourself as a runner, but you need to make it easier for your crew as well, so that they're not, you're not coming in after your hour and they're confused and maybe not keeping you as relaxed as you need to be. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Did you find that with King of the Hill as well? Like going from one year to the next, did you change much in terms of what you did? Because it's essentially a last man standing event as well. Yeah. So did you find that you put a whole heap of different things in place?
Yeah. It was funny. Like before King of the Hill, I did a backyard ultra, and I think I dropped out at 50K. And I said, never again. Like this is madness. And I don't know. I came up with a lot of excuses, and then signed up for King of the Hill 3 weeks before the race, the first year. And I turned up with no crew, and I found myself going into the second night and phoned a friend and said, like, this is like going to go on for a little while. Can you come down? So I was super underprepared, and that took I can't remember what I got to, like maybe 180 or 190 Ks, 14,000 meters of climbing before I pulled the pin. But I had like, again, your friends, like I phoned them and they were like, man, you need to better prepare. Like we can't be doing this. I can't just drop my family and come and drive down. I'm like, what do you mean, man? Of course you can. So this year, I was prepared, but probably maybe too prepared. Like I think I had, I'd even written down like notes for the crew, and I was like, don't ask me what I want, just tell me what I need. And that never played out. Like I was just like, no, I need this, and they were like, you're not supposed to be saying that. So it was too regimented. But I think next year, like I'll probably go into it a bit more calmer. I feel like I've done 3 now, so I'm not like you, Joel, like not like to like an expert in it, but it's all learning, like it's all building, and it's a different format. Like I feel like those guys at King of the Hill have created something that is not quite a backyard ultra, but it's just something new. Like it's something different. I don't even think any of us know what it is yet or what it's going to become. But like, if I had a choice between doing what you guys do really, really well for Australia and then doing this kind of weird new format, like climbing up a hill, I'll probably choose the hill. So
From a crewing perspective, it's actually a better environment to be in. I
Yeah.
noticed with maybe at Bigs, I wasn't at Bigs, but you were. Everything's so strict. I feel like I can't give a high five. I feel like I can't say anything to my runner. I feel
backyard
like I
ultras,
can't do it. Whereas every lap, always halfway out on course, I would be there cheering on runners.
Yeah.
And it's the atmosphere around King of the Hill is amazing.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned you're never gonna do something like this again. That's almost like a quitting point. What's the closest you've been to that almost breaking point, but decided to keep yourself going? Like you haven't completely quit. You're like, no, I got this. That second wind moment.
Yeah. I'm actually, so I'm wearing the top GSER, and this is quite a special top for me because if I think about all the races I've ever done, this was the 100-mile event. I think it must have been about 3 or 4 years ago. I placed second, and for me, that was such a big deal. Like for me, it was a turning point where I went all the early mornings and all the climbing you're doing, and your wife saying to you, I believe in you, but you don't believe in yourself. Like, and I got to a moment, I think I was at the Viking, and this is the old course. So they used to make you run out as an out and back, and you had to climb this horrible thing called the Viking, which like it's in its name. It was rough. And I remember coming back down off the Viking, and my Achilles just almost, it didn't snap, but it felt like it just popped. And I was like, what do I do now? I mean, this is the moment where you either pull the pin or you keep going. And I was in second place, so I was like, this never happens to Dave Gatt, and I need to see this through. And that was the moment that I went like, no, I'm gonna run the next 80 Ks with a busted Achilles. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. Like, it was the most painful thing. But in that moment when I crossed the line at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I could barely walk and I was sort of stumbling and stuff like that, that was a level of growth that I've never ever had before. And so I'm kind of trying to still find that moment where I can go back to that same place.
Was that an actual issue after the race? The
Yeah,
Achilles?
it took ages to recover.
It just shows
from
how
that.
much you want it.
Yeah, I want, like, and that's the thing is, like, if you want something that badly, like, it's, you got to take it. And yeah, that race was amazing.
Were there many people actually advising you to pull out the race?
The medic.
Yeah.
The medic.
The expert.
Yeah. The qualified individual.
No, I know my body better, all right? You don't know nothing.
I came down off the Viking and I'm like, something just popped in my Achilles. And she said, there's not a lot we can do about that. And well, you got two choices. You can either wait here with the people that have timed out and they'll pick you up in about 4 or 5 hours, or you can keep running. And I was like, all right, I'll keep running.
That's awesome.
It's amazing what a podium will do.
Oh,
Podium position, you'll
yeah.
go, oh yeah, no, you'll sacrifice everything because you're in that position.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Joel, for you, what's that breaking point that you've pushed past?
Yeah, well, Gatty talking about like trying to find that moment again, like I can resonate with that because like the first time I really felt like I sort of broke through that pain barrier and came out the other side was that No Time to Die in 24, doing 58 hours. Like at some point there in that second night, like you're at that low point where you kind of feel like you're done. You feel like your body's not responding anymore, and all that negative inner voices chattering at you saying you can have a little sleep now. You've done enough. And actually breaking through that is like a big achievement. But then I felt like I spent the next 12 months of races, like 2 big important races, trying to recreate that moment, which is at the time I thought I was doing the right thing. I was like, do everything the same, try and do everything the same. But then it wasn't until before Shepparton that I sort of had to realize and accept that what had happened in the past was like this old Joel got to that point, and you need to build and use new skills and new mindsets to to get there a different way. You can't be looking backwards trying to move forwards. Like, it just doesn't work. So my next time that happened was at GV, and I can remember 3 times like going into that dark cave and getting out the other side of it. And yeah, it felt amazing. Like it felt amazing to get there again in the first place, to sort of find that flow state and get past that point of like where you feel like it's no return, but you can actually come back out. At 3 times, it was like I felt like it was yeah, just on another level. It's an incredible feeling. That's that feeling you want to get at every race, that keeps you coming back as well. That's like where you get the most growth, is those coming out of there.
Oh, sorry.
Do you even think going for the first time, okay, it's hard,
Yeah.
but going through the second time and the third time, you go, oh, I've already done this before. Is it easier, or do you think it's the same pain? It's the same dark cave?
I think every time you get there, your brain tries to play a new trick. He goes, okay, it didn't work last time. Let's try this. Like, yeah, but I think knowing what it feels like to get through it is a motivation to do it again. Like, I still remember that first time at No Time to Die. That first time, and everyone experiences as an ultra runner, like that point where you're in so much pain and your body's sending you all these messages and these little nerve things just saying, you're in pain, you need to stop, you're going to get injured, you need to lie down, you need to sleep, you need to stop right now, you need to quit. And then when you get past that moment and the pain disappears, it feels like you're on another level. It feels like you've unlocked this this crazy human skill that like you may not have even known it existed. Like, maybe you've heard people talk about it and you just don't even realize it's a thing. But like, all of a sudden you've gone from feeling like you need to go to the hospital and lie down for a week to, oh yeah, no, I'm not just going to run for another 15 more hours. It's just, this is why we do it, right? Like, it's such an incredible feeling.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And being able to, going into another race going, oh, I wonder what this is going to feel like this time. Like, it's that element of mystery and that kind of fear and excitement of how that's going to feel again. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool feeling. Do you guys pretty much described a couple of successes there, which is awesome. Would you rather relive those successes if you had the opportunity again, or would you rather relive a DNF?
I want to relive the Down Under DNF from this year. I mean, that like, I'd much prefer that 100%, because it's interesting when I came, not for the viewers, like when I came into the 190k mark, and which was the furthest I'd ever been at DU, and I was amazed at myself that I'd even got that far. And I walked in and I see Ollie, your dad, there sitting there in a chair, and he was just like, oh, my legs.
You didn't even know it was dad. What did you?
And I was like, it really shook me up, because I was like, oh my God, if Tim's feeling like this right now, like, it just sort of, like I was like, you know, this is good, Dave, like, progress. And that for me actually was a moment where I went, I've made some progress. To even get to where Tim is incredible. And it was a moment for me. And then literally I left the A station, and then I got to the bit where you're about to cross Old River, and I went, nah, I'm not.
At least you could say that you faced it.
Yeah, I faced it.
Yeah, I didn't face it. I already faced it in my mind and thought, if I have to do Old River, they're going to have to helivac me out of there. But
well, I know you'd say yes now, but what's something you would tell yourself that you would try to convince to get through Old River?
I would have just said to myself that, you know, the thing that's on the other side, going back to that growth moment, the thing that's on the other side, like, you ran 80Ks with a busted Achilles. You can do this. Like, you can do it if you really wanted to. And I think the thing is like, when you're tired and you're hungry and there's, you know, your feet are in such a bad way, you just got to stop thinking about all of that, which is easy to say, but in the moment it's really hard. So look, A DNF is a DNF, but I don't think it's anything to be sad about. You know, I think it's something just to keep pushing you on, right?
Yeah, 100%. Joel, which one? What would you rather relive, a success or a DNF?
Well, I think most of being a backyard ultra runner, most of them are DNF. So even my biggest successes, like which I consider being like No Time to Die, getting 58 and making the Aussie team, and my PB at GV this year, they're still both DNFs.
Yeah.
They're both assists. They're not wins. But
Yeah, in the that format, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, obviously, you look at those as two pretty big successes.
yeah, definitely. I think the moments in those that you want to relive is finding that flow state and getting that's the best feeling in the world. Like once you get to a point in your running journey where you experience that, I think everyone's like, I want to get back.
Yeah,
Is why we keep signing up again to find that moment again.
Yeah,
We had a conversation in the car how it's such a funny thing. We're always chasing this success in these races. I want to win. I want to become the world champion. And then we look back and go,
you want to become the world champion. We're just three old blokes trying to get around a course
Leave me out
without
this
dying.
one.
I'm happy to still be standing in 5 years' time.
I want to go home to my wife and kids.
maybe world champion was not the great word to use. But then you look back and go, all I want to do is experience that loss again in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I think it's an interesting thing how we're chasing something, but we would go back to a different
I think we're chasing that growth.
Yeah.
And I think that we all understand that in our DNFs is where all the growth is. Like you have a success, it feels amazing, but you move past that so quickly, and it's like, oh yeah, well that's it. It's success, and I achieved what I wanted to. But then you look at your DNFs, and it's because you're forever going, what if? When you have a success, there's because success also looks like, for you at No Time to Die, that was success because you'd found your limit.
Yeah.
So that's a success, although it's called a DNF in a backyard ultra. But yeah, and I found the same. I found it the same as Sat Champs, that the DNF, I DNF'd, but like, I mean, I literally could not go any further.
Yeah.
So same as you could even look at Down Under as a success because like you said, you made it as far as you could.
Yeah.
So
well, you guys have talked about it on your podcast. The most growth is in those DNFs. Like you learn more about yourself in those moments.
Oh yeah, and because you're fault finding as well, and you're almost excited because it's like you uncover this new power, and it's like, oh, hang on, what if I tweak this? What if I tweak that? And you're constantly getting better.
It's interesting you're saying what ifs. There's a hill, and I've said this a lot, is at Stiglitz, our local bush. I run up it, and it's actually called Why the Hell Am I Doing This? And because in that moment, I'm thinking, I could be, and this hill is really hard to run up, and I'm running up it hard. And I'm like, I could be kicking my feet up, doing Netflix, but I'm running. Why the hell am I doing this? Is there ever a moment for you two that you've had that in a race? Like, why the hell am I doing this? What am I doing with my life? Why am I choosing to go through this suffering, this pain?
Yeah. I think that's backyard ultras in general.
Yeah. It is.
About 5 hours in. Yeah, well, I'm here again. Why am I doing this?
Why is this hurting? This
I
early?
think that's the first signs of the inner voice sort of trying to give you those negative talks. Because it's not only is it painful and stuff, like it's just not that it's boring, but like you got to have so much patience to do it because there's so much time out there, and you got so much time to think about how much suffering there is and how much suffering there is ahead of you, and it's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Do you get the same, Gatty? Do you have moments where you're like, why the hell am I doing this?
I try and, do you know what's really funny? Like I was saying, so in the car, I was going to myself, like, what are you running? Like, what are you running away from? Which is really the question in my head. You came from loving parents. You've got a beautiful family. Life's pretty good. You could just sit there and watch Netflix all day if you wanted to on the weekends. But I think like somewhere deep inside the psyche of like all of us sitting around here, we must have come from some, in my head, like some Viking shit where we were, it was common to just say goodbye to the wife, jump on the ship, travel across the sea, and then go and pillage some. Do you know what I mean? They jump back on, drink some beers, and go do it over and over again. And I keep wondering, like, why is this innate thing inside of me that just keeps going? I don't want to live a mundane life, because everything is quite mundane. Like, it really is,
I think it's our natural instinct to be curious and explore.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, it's, you don't want to live a vanilla life when there's so much for us to explore.
I turn up to work, right, Joel, and I'll stand in the kitchen on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. and everyone's going, "Oh, so what did you get up to on the weekend?" You don't want to know what I got up to on the weekend. You don't want to know.
You ever heard of Megasaur?
Yeah. Have you heard of Megasaur?
V5.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I actually find it, the more I've done this, I found it hard to connect, at those kids' barbecues, where people go to me, my wife's like, "Oh, Dave, you should meet John. He runs." And I'm like, where's this going to go?
Has he done Megasaur?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't run unless he's done Megasaur.
Yeah.
John, I know what you're doing next week. Say goodbye to your wife.
Yeah, they're funny conversations when it's like, "Oh, how long was your last run?" You go, 395K. They just look at you and go, "You're insane."
You always feel bad as well.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
like,
It's like, you don't want to.
I'm not that guy.
You don't want to belittle what they've done, because they might have just done like a half marathon and been so proud of themselves. And it's a huge achievement doing half marathons. We know it.
But Dad's had a couple of experiences at parkrun where people were talking to you about, "Oh, it's nothing like what you do."
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's like, no, what you're
I mean,
doing
it is. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. But I think just people want to connect, but they just want to. I don't know.
Put it on a
They might
pedestal
not
or
even.
something?
No, they might not value what they do.
Yeah, I think that's
and
it.
I think that's not right. You should value what you do, because whether you've run a 5K park run or 100Ks, they're exactly the same. I'm sure that you pushed as hard as you could to get through that 5K is what I did for that 100K. But because we all started at 5K, it's just that we've happened to get to that point. Like, But yeah, going back to going to work, like you're 100% right. I'll do down under, and you turn up and you're like do you know what the experience? I had like a life-changing experience on the weekend, and then they're going to me, "Right, Tim, so you just got to solder these leads. You said you got to can you please make 20 leads tonight?" 20 leads? I ran 200 kilometers on the weekend.
I nearly died on the weekend.
You want me to do this? Yeah, that's right.
I had an out-of-body experience 3 times on the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
But the reality is, what we do is not normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely not normal, and we shouldn't normalize it, because if you normalize it, it becomes something that seems safe for most people. And like, I don't think it's safe for everyone to be going out there and doing DU. Like, that is a really, really tough experience. And if you're going into it, you need to make sure that you've done a bit of the training. You've done the level of suffering that you're willing to incur. I think it's hard. Like, it's not for everyone, but it's hard.
But
It's for everyone at some point.
In saying that as well,
Everyone should do it. I don't know why I'm saying that. Everyone should totally do it.
Yeah, in saying that, but you kind of need not too many people to finish it, because then it devalues the actual race itself. Like, Dad achieving it 2 times, it's like, oh yeah, he just did DU 2 times. Everyone's doing that. It's
Yeah, but I think that's what it attracts the craziest people to these events, because they're so hard, and people, there's a uniqueness to the scarcity of how many people have actually finished that event. Same with the backyard ultra. You want to get those big numbers. You get in the 60s, you're in like the top 10 in Australia or so, and that's a nice feeling. But you're always trying to work out how to get to those places and find those events. But yeah, well, how much of ultra running do you actually think is talent, and how much do you think it's being too stubborn to quit?
I thought about this the other day. I kind of feel like when I started getting into ultra running, I was like given this gift of like, say like ultra running was an app. I was given a 12-month pass with like the full access to everything. So I wasn't getting injured. I was feeling really healthy and good and was going quite well and had a lot of success early on. And then after 12 months, they took away the the free pass, and then I was on the light version of the app. All of a sudden, I had to do a lot more work.
He's paying the $2.99 instead of the $30 a month.
I had to do a lot more work. I had to do all this other stuff outside of running, like strength work, and I was getting injured, and I needed to do physio stuff. And yeah, you need to do a lot more than just turn up to events and run to actually keep going at it.
Yeah.
As far as like a stubbornness, I think that has to be there to be an ultra runner. I think that's part of the personality that makes up an ultra runner.
Yeah. But it's necessary, I feel like.
There's a stubbornness, and I don't know, maybe something goes on in your life where you've kind of got this accountability that you are trying to live up to, or maybe it's stubbornness.
Did you find that because you can kind of, I think with ultra running, and the more you train and the more you do, you almost, you don't take a step backwards with ultra running, and you're always trying to get more and more. And then that builds that stubbornness even more, because you're like, I'm too stubborn to go, I might be getting older, but no, I've got to get better. I've got to keep going. Do you find
there's a level of like, and the beauty about ultra runners, and you find this in the community, is that often they've gone through some struggle. I mean, it's just a common thing, right? Like a lot of the people that I run with, they're either going through some struggle, or they've gone through some big struggles, or big life moments, big changing moments where it's required grit and determination, and to overcome those things. And I think it's just applying that. They're kind of going, well, I can do this, right? Same for myself. Like I was saying this earlier in the kitchen, having 2 kids and going through COVID with a 2-month-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, that required some grit. And they were tools that I didn't learn in running, but I've applied into my ultra running. The lack of sleep, getting through the fact that you had no self-care. You had no help and support. So you couldn't have people come around the house like mum and dad and help out and stuff like that. And I think those things that you don't often acquire necessarily from running, you acquire it outside of running, that you can just use as tools in the moment, right? And you can apply it. And I think one of the greatest trainings, I think having a large part of why I do these types of things is because I want to be a better dad. I mean, that ultimately is it. Like I look at you two, like if I could have my son next to me doing a podcast in 16 years time or 18 years time, I'd feel like I hit gold. I did something right, and that, like, you guys inspire me, because I think it's those things, and your dad will know this, like all the tough times that he's gone through when you guys were growing up has ultimately led you here.
Yeah. Well, we had that conversation on the way home last night.
In the car,
we're like, it's not like people might see us, we're always, got a good relationship and everything like that. But there were tough times. Like I might have been a frustrated dad or all those things. But then you learn from those experiences and say, hey, look, I actually don't want to be frustrated. Like, I don't want to get frustrated at that thing. I don't want to get angry at that thing. But also being accountable enough to say, hey, look, man, I'm sorry. I probably overreacted there. And then,
I went to Dad and I said to him, I was talking to Sam, one of the King of Hill guys. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to raise my kid like Dad raised me and Mum raised me and Mish. And I find it, it's very difficult. And Dad was saying, he's like, he wasn't the greatest dad when I was younger. But
I was a young dad trying to learn. So.
Well, just like everyone, like, are there any mistakes specifically in running for both of you that you choose to make, but know consciously that it's probably not the right decision?
For me, it's probably strength work.
Yeah.
Not doing strength work.
That's true.
I'm like, this is the mistake that I keep saying to myself as soon as I finish an event. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to do some strength work, and I never, ever do it. And then I hit another race, do the race, and I come out of it and say to myself, you know what, you're sore because you didn't do the strength work. Again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the and this is why there's levels in sport, right? Like you look at some of the elite guys that we run with. I consider you elite, obviously, both of you. Every one of you elite. I feel like
We're all
elite. I don't feel like I'm elite. You look at everyone. I look at everyone around me, and I kind of go, "You're doing the strength training. You're talking about conditioning. You're talking about nutrition, and." Like I'm pretty lazy. Like I don't take my strength training very well, but that's because it's almost like I find between all these things they're like a currency, and it's a currency I have to trade with my running. Like I don't have time to do strength training because actually I need to prioritize my mental health, which only can get better through me exerting energy in running. Right. I don't find the same thing lifting weights, as you can see by my muscles. So, but you look at Ben Burgess, you look at Tom Day, you look at these guys, and they do a lot of that type of stuff, right? But that's because they're at a level, and that like I don't think I can necessarily get to that level just through strength training. So I'm quite comfortable where I am, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm just good at burying myself in these types of races, and I'm fine with that.
Almost like working to your strengths.
Work to your strengths, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, it being a currency, and it becomes a point where there's so much going on, so much that you need to do that you need to figure out the priorities there. And I'm exactly the same. And I've been prioritizing strength work this year because that's a weakness of mine that I need to work on. So I'm not getting any lower leg injuries or anything. But then you invest more in that, then something else suffers.
Yeah.
And it's probably has been like I'm not running as high kilometer weeks because there's less time. And then if I do want to do the higher kilometer weeks, then sleep suffers. And sleep is something that I'm really trying to work on this year, or have been this year, because I'm finding that other parts in my life are suffering from not having sleep. And I think I've had issues in the past with low iron and things, and I think that ultimately comes down to your body's not having enough time to recover from everything. So finding that balance is difficult. So maybe that is part of it. Maybe that is the mistake. Maybe the mistake is that we're still going to work. How do we figure out how to do this full time again?
Do you remember that? Do you remember when we were running MVP and we were trying to get away with? We called it the life back hack, right? We thought, how about if we run less and trying to get the exact same results for running less? And it didn't work very well.
It didn't work, but it probably was.
Made us laugh for that hour.
It did. Yeah, it made that 1 hour, that one loop go pretty quickly. But I think it probably also did show that, especially for me, you had better training for me than me going to that because I'd just been in hospital 2 months before. But it sort of showed us that you can get through quite a bit just with that grit and determination. That can get you a long way in a race. But then it's that last 20%, that last conditioning that sees you, well, like yourself, sees you to success, sees you to win, or sees you through another 24 hours. Like,
we find a lot of people like in ultra running, we're funny. It's like when you become a new parent, like everyone's got advice for you, right? And they want you to do it their way and stuff. Like, what's something that you've that someone's giving you some advice and you've tried it and it's absolutely sucked. It's 100% not for you.
Run a sub 25k at park run. So why would I do that? I'm not designed for it. Look, I've had so much the advice, which has not been great advice for me at the time. Like, eat, certain things people have told me to eat, during a race, which just haven't worked out. Or you need to get faster, Dave. But if you get faster, you're going to get stronger. And then you end up doing that, and then you're out for like 3 weeks because your body's not used to running like a sub 25k. But I think all these things, like the intentions are right. I think no one's written the book. That's the point, right? It's like there's everyone has their own kind of method to the madness, and I don't think you can follow everyone's method. Right, like individually. Like if I looked at you, Joel, your experience and the type of races that you do and the running you do, I could probably learn from it, but would I take every single thing that you do and apply it to my, and vice versa? Like,
Yeah.
do you want to
definitely.
be climbing 5K a week for the fun of it? Probably not, because it's not many people enjoy that level of climbing. But it's like, so I think you just got to take advice from the people you trust, but recognize that everyone's making it up at the end of the day. No one really knows. I mean, yes, there's sports scientists in there and there's nutritionists, and they're all qualified and they know what they're doing. I get that, but you just gotta kind of try things out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the same as me. Like there is a lot of information out there, um, whether it's like from the internet or YouTube or reels or whatever you're doing, but also from a lot of people. And as you said, like what works for you may not work for me. So I think luckily, like I've surrounded myself with a lot of good people that give me good advice, like yourself.
Yeah, geez, we talk a lot about running.
We do talk a lot about running, and the benefit for me is that you've been doing it for like 12 years longer than me.
I know, but I come up with a lot of weird theories on running, so that's why I'm kind of angling this. Just what bit of advice did I give you that was just absolutely terrible and didn't work?
Well, I think your advice has been really good, and like going back to the start of this podcast, like that helped me get through those initial backyard ultras with more success, because I eliminated all that trial and error by going straight to the source of good stuff. I think the only thing that limits me as far as advice is probably when I start trying to overthink it myself and go, oh, maybe I don't need to do this and I can get away with this. Like the only example I can think of was like at the last race, I was like, maybe I'll try. Yeah, this is a bit of advice. Some people talk about like using caffeine as a like holding off on the caffeine, so maybe when they take it later in a race, then it gives them a bit more stimulus, and that might help them. So I tried that in my last race. It didn't work for me. Like I was similar to you, Ollie, in that race. Like that first night, I'd never had it before. I was running around like falling asleep on the course. This is only like
13 hours.
13 hours in. Yeah, exactly.
It was right before the sun came up as well.
Yeah. So that in those witching hours of that first night, I was going through that night, like 3 or 4 in the morning, and just finding myself falling asleep while running, like running off course. And I was like, this has never happened before. What have I changed here? Oh, that's right. I haven't taken caffeine.
Yeah, but even no amount of caffeine later on in the race is going to keep you up either. It's just
but it's just strange for it to happen in that first night. Like, that's never happened to me before.
It almost keeps the sleep demons at bay just enough the whole time you're taking caffeine.
Yeah.
And because I find it if I'm a coffee drinker anyway, so having a no dose or anything like that during the race, I actually don't feel like I'm getting much of a kick. It's just almost like I don't get a kick, but I don't get that low that you just explained.
Yeah, and I'd never had it before either. And I'm the same. Like I'm a coffee drinker, and I probably even had a coffee at the start of that race, but I didn't think it would affect me that much. And yeah, similar to you, I don't take a no dose and go boom, I'm bouncing off the walls.
I probably do.
Yeah, but maybe it is just that level, that caffeine level, that stimuli is a bit higher. Yeah.
Everybody overthinks, has anxiety, fears before a race. What are things that you can do to calm yourself down? Like, what's one thing you go back to that's like, okay, it calms the nerves right before a race and you're ready to go?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm always nervous.
Okay.
I'm always nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Like
maybe just run, get the race started.
Like it's funny. Like at DU and actually at King of the Hill, I had the same experience where I was staying with a mate of mine, the most amazing crew chief, by the way, Bruce Miller. I'm not sure if you know him, but he is amazing. So he's been with me in so many of these races, and he's also seen me not sleep every time pre-race. So I'll often we'll book a bit of accommodation. I'll be staying in the room, and I'm just tossing and turning every single night. And it's actually one of the things that I really want to figure out. I want to figure out how I can just calm those nerves down. And I'm not sure what it is. I think it's because it's all the build up and all that stress that you've got. I actually think it's more to do with your body knows that you're about to go to war and you're about to put it through like the worst pain. And it goes, oh, I remember this, Dave. You did this to me last year, right? Or you did this to me 6 months ago. And you just know. And I think I've got to figure that bit out because, for example, at King of the Hill, I didn't sleep for maybe 2-3 nights before the race. I was so tired, actually coming into the race. So I've got to figure that bit out. Yeah, I think the sleep pre-race and the nerves are the thing. You can take I find having a bath sometimes helps just to relax before. But yeah, I
So
mean,
you're saying it's almost like before the race, your body is so scared of what it knows it's about to be put through, like your adrenaline goes up or something.
Yeah.
Or you,
I think so, yeah. And
Yeah.
but the thing that keeps going to me in my head is like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And it's just constantly. And if you don't have a why that's clearly like labeled in your head, I mean, just expect to not sleep for a
Yeah.
few days. You need that why. You need that purpose as to why you're doing it. Because again, it's not normal to, throw yourself in 190 Ks and 10,000 plus meters
Yeah.
of elevation gain. Your body's ready to get jacked up, and it's not great.
Do you think you use that? Sorry, I'm doing the.
I like this.
Do you think you use that why before a race, or you're talking about like during the race?
Before the race.
Yeah, so you need to have a clearly defined why am I putting myself through this again?
Why? Yeah, the why. I think in running, the why is so important because often you can be just driven by your ego, and you can just be kind of. It's like, oh, it's going to look good on Strava. It's like, well, that's not the why. That's not the purpose why you're doing it.
Well, your ego is the bit that makes the decision about 3 months out and says, we're doing that.
Totally.
How good this is going to be epic. And then when you get close to the race, the ego hides behind the tree and leaves you alone to go, hang on. What? Hey, where are you going?
Where's my ego?
Yeah, where's my ego gone now when you're absolutely crapping yourself and you've got a line to the Dunnies that's 10 deep and everyone's all nervous because all their egos are gone and hidden in the woods. Oh yeah. Well, and you're right because your why can't be your ego.
No,
because if that's what it is, I often say it. You get to a point where the pats on the back are not worth the pain.
Totally.
So if your why is strong enough, then yeah. And then I mean, some people have absolutely no ego and they go into it, and then So I look at someone like Phil Gore. He's a good example of that. When we spoke to him on the podcast, he's like, I don't think you really need a why. And I actually don't think he's got an ego. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he probably gets to that point. He goes, oh, no, I'm just doing this because whatever. So he cuts out the ego and his decisions are all made by him. So whereas me personally, I've got that ego that loves the thought and the planning is oh my god, it's gonna be so awesome when I've finished and I'm holding that third down under dish and all that, and then guess what, you're 180 k's deep in down under, the ego's completely gone and you're there like a baby in the corner going, oh my legs. So
that's something I'm still struggling to work out is like distinguishing the ego from the why, and they can overlap a little bit, and I still struggle with it a bit because I still try and figure out my why, and I do put it down to this innate like this feeling of wanting to be magnificent, but part of that gets trapped up with ego as well. Like you start thinking to yourself, am I doing this for myself or am I doing this so other people can see me succeed? And it can be difficult to separate those two things.
Do you reckon it's because you don't want to do it for the wrong reason?
Yeah, exactly.
In that moment?
Yeah.
That's a really tricky one because if you're thinking those two things, it's really hard to distinguish, isn't it?
Yeah. So in the end, I sort of, there is a overwhelming feeling to be magnificent that I think we all have, or to achieve, or to be great. We want to be the best at our sport. That'd be a great feeling to do it, but there's got to be more to it than that as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not just doing it for the kudos. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it to grow.
Yeah.
You're doing it for that journey. Yeah.
Do you, during like races and stuff like that, when you've kind of had a massive, you're in a hole, what do you do? Like we've spoken about like mantras and things like that in the past, but what's something that you guys have done that's really helped you get out of that hole?
I just think about my kids. and my wife. That's pretty much it. Like, I think in those moments, you just got to think about the thing that matters to you the most. I often think about, and I think you saw it at King of the Hill, like, which was an emotional thing, watching, actually replaying and watching it back, is actually seeing Wilder, my eldest, crying when I finished. And I often think to myself, like, I just want him to see his dad finish, because, hopefully he can then see, dad does hard things. I can do hard things. And that's not an uncommon thing, I think, that most people want their kids to see. But that they're the things that I think, you focus on in those, when you're in that hole. I don't think about, oh, look, I can't wait to stand on that podium and there's going to be a great photo of me at the end of it. That's kind of not it.
I think when you start doing that, that's when it falls apart.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You start overthinking it.
Yeah. And it's for the wrong reasons,
Yeah. Especially if you start looking too far ahead as well.
Yeah.
So what do you do for digging yourself out of those holes?
Yeah, I think I probably need to use the mind a bit. I use a bit of mindset stuff. So I'll tell myself to stay in the moment, not look too far ahead or not worry about what's going to happen, and remind myself that my future is not written, like it's not predetermined. This is not the end. There's a way out of this.
And you chose this. That's the most important thing.
It's the hardest thing to say to
You
yourself.
paid for it. You signed yourself up, and it's like, you made that decision. Right?
Yeah.
I think we often forget that. We're like, oh, someone else signed my name up on the registry. Like, it's like, no, you did it,
Yeah.
Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name's called Ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Visualization helps too, I think. That's been one that's worked for me recently. And one of them is like, I try to think back to a time when I felt like I was, it may be a great race or a great feeling during a great race, and I try and imagine what that Joel would say to me right now. If that Joel was running next to me while I'm in this hole, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just imagine what epic Joel would say in this moment. You go, you'll be right. You're right, man. You got this. Just come on, another hour. You'll be fine. You'll be out of this hole.
Yeah, it's a good way to reinforce and help yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of learnings that we can get from these big holes that we find ourselves in. But
Growth. It's all that growth.
yeah, what's the biggest difference of training for your first ultra compared to your most recent one, and how has that changed over time from learnings?
Yeah, it's probably gone for me. Like it was all running. Those first ones, like all my training was just kilometers. And now that's changed to there's more focus on strength work, and there's even more focus on mind work as well. So yeah, in backyard ultras, you learn that after a while, you learn that the physicality of it is probably only, I don't know, that the percentage the percentage number I pull out of the air changes every time. But I used to think it was 80% physical, and then I was like, oh, it's actually probably 50% physical, 50%
Yeah,
mind.
you're
Now,
so
I think
right.
it's even more now. Like
Yeah.
it's 30% physical and 70% mind. So that's what's changed. It's gone from just being training the physical aspects of it to actually training the mind as another muscle that needs to be trained in these moments.
Yeah, it's people take for granted a lot how much of a mental toll these races take on you.
Yeah.
Do you think that knowing, how you spoke about earlier, you get to this point where there's no more pain, that you kind of work through that, right? Do you think knowing that is the reason now why you think it's more mental? Because it's all about getting to that point where you cross that pain barrier and you just come over, and then it just all becomes mental, because the physical, your body's almost given up sending the signals of I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And you're just doing the thing. It's a lot easier. It's almost impossible to do it in a mountain race, but at a backyard ultra, it's a lot easier because it's so easy, essentially. Like, when you really think about it, what you're doing, you're even telling yourself, this is easy. This is a flat course.
Yeah.
Yes, it's physically hard to a point, but you're not climbing another 1,000 meters of vert. You're running flat for 6.7 Ks for the next hour.
Yeah.
So your mental game needs to be almost spot on.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. It's that first one, or even early on in ultra running, you feel like you've just got this health bar that, like, and the more work you do in training and your block leading up to it may make that health bar a little bit bigger, and then you do the race and it empties right out. But that first time you get to that point where you get that flow state and you go through the pain and then can continue going, that's the first time you realize that once the health bar is empty, then you can keep going past that point.
Yeah.
Like that's when you break through that pain barrier and keep going. That's when it's mental.
Do you
When-
find, Joel, the
Yeah.
lack of, changing scenery, right, in the backyard ultra? Because you're just seeing the same thing again
Yeah.
and again.
Oh, that's if
Actually-
you're not having hallucinations.
Well, that's what you signed up for, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
hallucinations. But do you think it helps? Do you think it, like it helps just getting into that flow state? Whereas, in a point to point, I'm always going, oh my God, like I've got 1,500 meter climb coming up. Like that's going to break the state of mind, like, do you find that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I find that too. In a point to point, yeah, you've got different stimuli and you've got different goals and things coming up, which makes it easier. But I find, and maybe this is a strength of mine, that actually that monotony helps me get in the zone.
Yeah.
Like get in that flow state. Like I find that doing kind of interval work in backyard ultras helps me get in the zone, and once I'm in that zone, then time just sort of flies, and I just go about my job basically. So yeah, so the monotony of a course I think helps me. It's like, you got the 1 kilometer to get to this point, and then you see that tree, and then you run around this tree, and then there's the park bench, and then
Do you find it hard that you don't get, you can't string like 5 hours together? Ollie and I spoke about this about King Hill a little bit, that if I, before I pulled the pin, if I had to do it for 5 hours on my own, I probably might have actually worked it out myself. And I think with a point to point, like something like Down Under, if you're like from here to here, it's going to take me 5 hours. So you have a bad moment, half an hour out from that aid station, you find it like, oh, well, I've got to just keep going because that's where I've got to get to. Whereas in a backyard ultra, do you find it hard sometimes because it's almost like a reset every hour? Or do you still find it easy enough to get in the zone?
I see what you mean. Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
You're not kind of you're not sort of out there for 4 hours getting
On your
in a
own.
full zone. I think I stay in that zone, especially like in the nighttime. Like coming back to camp or coming back to your marker, you're still part of that monotony, still part of that zone. So you basically sort of finish that loop. You come in, whatever you do, lie
Sleep,
down.
eat, get out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that you're still in that zone. I think that's how it works for me. But like, you guys have done a lot more sort of point to point running than I have as well. So maybe your experience is a bit different. Or
Yeah, I found it a couple of times. Like I think the second Down Under that I did, I was on my own that whole night. I didn't have a pacer or anything like that. And I reckon that if I had either a pacer or an aid station closer, I probably wouldn't have finished because I actually spent 7 hours in the dark on my own, and then the sun come up and I was all right. But if I had an opportunity, like I was having dirt naps, and I was waking up and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I just got to keep on going. I'm like, well, there's I've got no phone reception.
Yeah.
I'm 5 hours away from an aid station. It's like there's no argument with yourself because you either die out here or you get to the next aid station. So you just keep on moving.
yeah,
So
there's no choice.
Yeah.
There's no safety net, in those moments
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. And like
It can be an advantage.
it can be totally right. Like, I mean, that's one of the other things is like when you've got a pacer in DU, and I do think you need one like at certain times, but you often see some of the blokes who just, who've won it. And it's like, for a large part of those races, they didn't have one. And you wonder what goes through their mind, right? Is it the fact that, they haven't got their loved ones, running with them or, with them, they've got no phone signal to your point. Like, it's literally like, okay, well, if you want to stay here and feel sorry for yourself and have a pity party, do it, but you're going to die. Like,
There's no one here to feel sorry for
there's
you.
no
Yeah.
one. There's
Yeah.
no one. And I think that's the beauty of those, those moments. Like,
I almost had one time, I think this first or second time, because I had no paces for the first couple of times. I had a moment where I actually felt sorry for myself to a point where, like, I might have mentioned this before. Like, I was running, and I almost had an out of body experience watching myself running, and I was tripping over
Yeah.
and falling, like doing a couple of Supermans, and I'm like, oh, look at this guy. Look at this poor guy. What is he doing? Oh my God, just get up, just keep going, mate. Like you've got, like, you know how you said, like you used like that Joel next to you to motivate you. Well, yeah, I had that Tim that wasn't going through the pain, watching the Tim that's suffering. And yeah, it was just like, come on, mate. Yep, another couple steps. Yeah, you got to keep that pace.
You're pacing yourself.
Yeah, I was, but yeah, one person was in pain, the other one was kind of going, "Oh my God, why does he do this to himself? When is he going to learn?"
Gosh, we sound like crazy people actually talking about. I've just had this thought. I'm like, just the stuff we say, people got to think we're weird, surely.
Yeah, it goes back to not normalizing it, or we do normalize it, and you need to click yourself out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
In races, I tend to find it really hard to stay present and in the moment. What's like your most effective strategy for staying present and not thinking like 40 kilometers ahead or 40 hours ahead, if it's a backyard ultra or anything like that? Because you know how hard it is sometimes. I mean, I remember at Sat Champs, me and you running on hour 7 and saying to each other, this is the hardest thing. Like, I shouldn't be in this much pain. And then by hour 37, we're all happy and stuff like that. But I think looking at a race and looking so far into the distance, it can kind of overwhelm you a bit. What's something that you kind of pull yourself back with?
So it's a really good question. So some of the things that I'll do is like, because most of the stuff I do is longer and it's like 24 plus hours. Like I will often kind of go, look forward to breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a nighttime snack, right? Like those moments. So you're not just constantly just, drinking, the nutrition drinks, and you're not just constantly having gels. Like actually look forward to actually having, a burrito for lunch or, something for dinner. Like that. And if you break it up like that, you can kind of go, oh, it's only 3 hours till lunch, right? And so you're not focusing on the aid station you're running to or something like that. You're just focusing on those little moments that bring you little bits of joy. And I find that just takes the time off completely.
60 hours over quicker.
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that thought too. Yeah, because you do look forward to, for me in a backyard ultra, you look forward to getting back to the marquee and what am I eating this time, or what are we going to talk about, or whatever. But a big part of it for me is also you just have to be vigilant about reminding yourself to stay in the moment. And sometimes you need to distract yourself to be able to do that as well, which I like to do with music.
Yeah.
Listening to some good tunes out there.
Do you find like the deeper you go, the more present you become?
Yeah, well, that's part of that sort of getting into not like the flow state of like running through pain or whatever, but sort of getting yourself in that sort of metronome sort of mode. I think that helps too.
Yeah.
Like I've gone into races where I've had like 100 million problems, and I seem to go through this kind of self-therapy where I start to sort of just work through all of those different problems as I'm running. You get to a point where you go, actually, that's just actually not that important, is it? Like, why are you even worrying about that? Because you're in that moment of suffering, it just puts everything into perspective. It's like, I've had moments where I'm like, oh man, he didn't talk to me so nicely earlier and stuff like that. And I'm like, what is it? Like, that's not even the thing. Like, and it's not until in the moment you kind of go, like, it's just not, it's not a big deal. Like, and I think that like the self-therapy that you go through in some of these races, like you can't pay for it. I will not get the same value having someone sitting across the room from me, talking to them about my problems and them trying to solution something for me, as I will be able to in the moment, feeling terrible and the worst pain I've had in my life, working through that myself, right? And that's the beauty of it, I think.
That self-therapy, maybe after a race you might not have got a result you wanted. How do you possibly use that self-therapy to build back that confidence? Someone who might be really low after races, they had this high expectation of getting such a great result but fell short of it.
Yeah, so not many people talk about it so much. I know you guys have talked about it in the past, but actually, and I don't know if it's depression or it's like a serious amount of like just feeling low, but post-race blues is absolutely a thing. And I've battled through it through almost every single event, big endurance event. And I actually have said it can get quite dangerous if you don't recognize in the moment that you're actually going through this. I've gone through moments where I've locked myself in the room. I haven't been very nice to my family. I've just been, I didn't want to interact with people at work and stuff like that. It has a massive so it's not for me, there's so much the confidence. It's like managing those post-race blues and recognizing that actually they come because you've put your body through that level of stress and hurt.
But even the high, you're coming off this high, this body.
Yeah, the drop of endorphins. It's like you get back from a race and you go, is this it? Like, is this, do you know, and that's a horrible thing to say. Like, it should be enough, but for all of us around here, often it's not enough, which is why we do this stuff.
I'm exactly the same. I'm happy that you're sort of sharing that as well, because the crash I get is deep.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
No. Just call me up anytime.
Yeah. But like even the last one, like it was probably the worst one I'd had, and it was like a double crash. I got out of it like I finished GV, and even it doesn't matter if it's a successful race, and I was really proud of my result in that race. It doesn't matter if it's a successful thing. The crash is still deep, and I do describe it as like a mini depression. Because you just become
vulnerable, don't you?
You
like
do.
Just sad and sensitive, very sensitive.
Yeah, you get inside yourself, and you're doom scrolling and procrastinating, and it's hard to see yourself get out of it. And even this time, like I got out of it after 2 weeks, and I was good for a week, and then went straight back in again. I was like, well, I didn't see this coming. And I think part of that is I'm still trying to work on that, and I'm working on crash pads for next time I do a big event. And I even sort of used I did GSR a few weeks ago, and even that's a smaller event. I knew it wasn't going to be as big a crash. I was sort of trialed a few things afterwards from that as well to protect myself a bit after it, which is
What'd you try?
Well, a couple of things is just having a couple of things in place, like having a recovery plan, like not just have a training block be working from A to race. It needs to go beyond the race, like a couple of weeks beyond the race, like continue the plan to have things that help myself. So continue to monitor nutrition, make sure I'm getting good food in, so I'm putting good things in, so good things come out, and even just that little bit of exercise, the walk that you need to do just to keep things ticking over. But I think one of the big ones is and something that I've worked in with a lot of my running as well is realizing that not everything is predetermined. Like realizing that I'm in control of the outcome, not just sit there and wait for this crash to happen and take over my life. Like that's my decision to make. So I'm going to decide that next time it happens, it's not going to be that big crash. Next time this happens, I can allow myself to maybe feel down for a day or two, because you are still coming down off an endorphin crash. The dopamine isn't there anymore, but not allow myself to fall that deep. Like just make the decision that I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Well, everything in life is a choice, and I guess it is important to feel that crash as well, because then you wouldn't know what the high is like.
That's true. Yeah. You need those dynamic moments in life to realize how
but it's when
good a
you
feeling is.
take the choice to continue that, like for multiple weeks on end. It's like, okay, we got to get over this.
Well,
And
yeah, you can't throw yourself a pity party every time you finish, because what tends to happen, I find as well, is that your support network that's around you, whether it be family, friends, and things like that, they've supported you through your journey to get to that race. And then they're saying to you, well, I'm here to support you during the race. And then they see you win, and then your flat afterwards, and it's like you can't put that on them as
No,
well
yeah.
because they've gone and supported you as you've built, and then you come off and you're like, come on, like this is what you wanted. Now you're, not only
If you don't want to feel this post-race blues, just don't do it.
don't do the don't do the races.
don't do it. Oh, that's not an option.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not an
yeah.
option.
I must feel this blue.
But you're right. Talking about it is a huge thing. I think we're lucky in that. Well, I think all four of us have good friends and support networks around us in the running community, and we can talk to other people. And like you said, you're happy that he goes through it as well.
Yeah.
So that Gatty goes through
Not
it.
happy, but
No,
But the other thing, which is like, I mean, I've got a really addictive personality, right? And I find a lot of people that I meet in this sport have similar things.
Yeah.
And I always question, like, is this addiction ultimately healthy? It is healthy on the outside looking in. Oh, he's an ultra runner. He runs, 100K weeks. He's climbing this.
He looks
amount.
fit.
He looks
he's
fit. He
fit.
looks great. But inside, like, is that addictive? So I'll finish a big race and like I have the down, and then it's like I've got to book my next thing. I've got to figure out where, like, I want more suffering. I want more hurt. It's like, is that actually healthy? Like, is that healthy? I'm still.
I don't know. I don't think it is. I think if you get to a point where you do it and then you come off that race and then you say to yourself, I don't need to sign up to another race to make myself feel good, because that's one way to make yourself feel good instantly and not feel those post-race blues.
Totally.
Is 100 like sign up to something quickly. So I don't know.
But like Joel said, I like it because it's not the race that's the execution. It's the whole thing. It's the recovery. You go to that point of recovery, and then that's the execution. That takes your mind off those blues, because it's like, no, this is the process. I get through this, the recovery.
Well, yeah, and
then
you, like you said, it's like having that choice. It's like I'm choosing. Like, am I going to sit here and let this happen to me?
Yeah, I'm not going to allow it to take over my life this time.
Yeah, I do like that.
I think there's a balance there as well. Like, I will implement this next time as well. Is like give myself 24 hours or 48 hours to feel like crap, or if I want to, or wallow in my whatever after the race, but just finish it at that. Like, say, you're allowed to feel this way for 24 hours, and then come on, get back into it.
That's a bit of a those post-race blues are like a silent battle at times. What's something like during your toughest races? Because you kind of touched on it before, where you're trying to solve all these problems internally, but when someone's looking at you from the outside, they're just like, this guy's running. But right during your toughest races, what's kind of an internal battle that you've had inside that people might not have seen?
Like, just thinking if I'm actually, good enough to be amongst the people I'm actually running with. Like, I have like a mate, like even coming here today for me, like I was saying to Joel, I think you said it to me as well. Like,
the imposter syndrome
we
is
have
real.
so much imposter syndrome, and I do it all the time. And I think like that's something that I go through when I'm running. Like, I think, am I good enough to even be, here, running? Like, I've found myself in the top 5 somewhere. Like, am I good enough to actually be here? It's a constant battle. That's the stuff that people don't see, that I go through all the time. I was even saying to my wife when you asked me to come on the podcast, I just said, I'm not good enough to go on this. And she's like, no. But I honestly, like, that's the internalized, like, I've got to work on that. That's the thing I've got to work on. Because it's like, okay, well, you deserve to, someone wants to hear your story, like, you deserve it. And like, I even messaged Ben Burgess in the week and I said, oh man, I feel like such an imposter going on. And he goes, no, Gatty, he goes, we need you on. He goes, we'd love to hear from you. So, it's, but that's what you find. Like, I end up going through these moments, and maybe it's a thing where I look back and I go, and I've talked about this in previous sort of poddies and stuff, like I didn't necessarily have, like, I had friends, but I never felt like I had a community or a tight community of people that I could rely on and be part of. And it took me until I was like, late 20s to find a group of people that I went, like, this feels like home.
these crazy people.
These crazy
people.
psychopaths.
I don't put him anywhere but where they run for 4 days.
That's it, yeah.
No.
But it's taken me a long time, and that's the sort of stuff people don't see.
Yeah.
That's the growth in that journey of running, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, takes you to exciting places. I think it is that it's that inner voice that is constantly telling you to stop, or telling you to quit, or telling you to lie down, or telling you to whatever. So that's a difficult one to get past that, because your self-talk can be so negative, especially when you're physically so drained and so tired and sleep deprived and everything. So there's that. But I think another part of it, and it is also what you bring into the race, but it's
Do you think it would help? Do you think it would help if, because this is something that I've never done, but now that you say it, I might actually try it next time. Next time that's happening during a race, if you came into your crew and said, hey, look, I'm having some real negative self-talk, can you help me through it? Do you reckon that would help you, like getting it out instead of battling it, having that silent battle on your own?
Yeah,
during
and
the race?
it's something I have been doing as well. But yeah, it's just, I think it's that thing that as time goes on in a race, eventually it kind of wins. Like
Yeah.
eventually it becomes too much. So I think that's a lot of the battle. Like backyard ultras, like the first 10 hours is physical, and then the next whatever is fighting that mental battle of trying not to stop. But I think another part of that is going in with so I'm just trying to word it properly, but you've got to get past that concept that your future is already determined from what you've done in the past. So like for me, okay, so for going into Dead Cow Gully, one of my fears was that I was going to not get to that flow state, or not get into that pain cave and be able to get out of it again. And because I'd done it once before, maybe at Sat Champs, it would happen again. So you're kind of going into it thinking that you're preconditioned to failure. So getting past that point is important. So yeah, realizing that your future is not written, that you get to write your own future.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
Yeah.
Is there a specific mental shift that you've applied to your running careers that have just leveled up your game completely, that you think that a lot of people would benefit from?
So, I don't know how much people can apply this, because it's a really hard thing to do. But I think you need to start with. I actually think a lot. So, running for me is it's kind of like a scaffold, right? And everything that lives inside it, the thing that lives in the middle is like your self-love, right? For yourself. And I think if you haven't got that, if you haven't got that thing inside, and, just going, not that you love yourself, but, at the end of the day, you're doing it for a reason, and you're doing it to make yourself better, and there's reasons behind it. I think they're the things for me that are really important. Is that?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You said not that you love yourself, but I think you are teaching yourself to love yourself.
You're teaching yourself to love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like not
think-
standing in front of the mirror going, you love yourself, but literally trying to find that thing. I don't know. There's always been a thing missing for me inside, right? It's like I look at the reflection, and people are telling me one thing. Oh, you're this, you do all these amazing things, and you do all these great things,
But
and
you're
you're
not
doing all
seeing it
these.
yourself.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's self-belief, isn't it?
It's the self-belief.
Yeah. That's something I've been working on this year, and something that I started before GV was working on my self-belief, and that leveled me up at Shepparton. That changed me completely from someone that was fearful that I'd preconditioned myself to failure from races before, to someone that went into that race feeling relaxed, feeling self-assured, feeling this level of self-belief and confidence that I had never felt before. Yeah, and that's something that I've been working on.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get to that point? And how, if you don't mind, how did you work on that? Because self-beliefs, like you described it, it's a hard one to have.
It's not something you think about doing. It's
Well,
just you just be. That's
Well,
just,
yeah, that's right. It's not a mental thing. You can't think yourself into self-belief. You've got to actually believe in
Yeah.
yourself.
I used to think that you could just flick a switch, like similar to like you rock up to a race and you go, okay, I believe in myself and I've got this mantra. I'm good. My mindset's good. But I realized that it's something that you do need to work on, like a muscle, like anything else. And I've done it I started journaling about a month before it, doing a self-belief journal. And it really helped me identify just a few weaknesses, a few leaks in my self-confidence. And as soon as I recognized them, it just like allowed me to grow. And you kind of start by like making that decision to believe in yourself, allowing yourself to believe in yourself. Finding the things that maybe are stopping you from believing in yourself, and then getting to that start line, just feeling relaxed, feeling like you've won the event before you've even got to the start line. That's how that feels.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think journaling as well, because you're writing it down. You almost you're outside of yourself a
Yeah.
little bit, because you're looking at it. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that Ollie often says to me recently. You've been saying, would you say the words that come out of your mouth? Would you say them if they were tattooed on your arm? Right. So it's almost this a very similar thing in that. It's like you've got no self-belief, but then when you write it down, you actually finally see it. So you might actually say, hang on, have that bit more belief, do some more positive self-talk. Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? So
Yeah. And it's interesting rereading those things that you've written about yourself, like how powerful some of it is. Because like, especially if you're writing it, you're kind of in a bit of a free state, writing it down. You just write what comes, stream of consciousness sort of thing. Then you go back and read it 2 days later and you go, wow, that's how much I believed in myself in that moment. And it's like, that's like doing the reps like anything else. Like the more you do it, the more you train your brain to continue to believe in that.
Yeah.
That's been a game changer for me. Yeah.
I think even like looking back at old photos of yourself, like I like, I'm not saying I do that all the time, but I like look back at 10 years ago, Dave, and I go, gee, like you looked a lot different. You also felt a lot different inside as well at the time. And you also made some pretty bad choices, whereas I think it's hard when you're going through a transformation. You don't often see it. You don't often see it until you get to a point where you kind of go, you're so far from where you came.
Yeah.
You sometimes need something just to look at and go, geez, like that used to be me. And I've shed that skin multiple times, but I haven't necessarily seen that growth. So
Yeah. Because the growth is so slow, perhaps.
Yeah.
That you can't see the transformation take place in front of you. But
do you feel that that's like your identity has shifted because you've become ultra runners?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Completely different person to what I was before I was an ultra runner. And even, similar to that, I even look back to when I started ultra running, I feel like I'm a completely different person and I've learned so much since then. And it's also, that self-belief thing. I think back to those earlier events, like perhaps like, let's say MVP where I won, like I feel like part of that was because I had no expectations and a great self-belief, that it was hard to recapture that. And perhaps I was looking back to try and find that self-belief, wondering where that is. And part of this journaling process is realizing that, that you don't have to go back. You don't have to look backwards to try and recapture something that's there. Like that belief is in you all the time. You just need to bring it out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
time is really like valuable, and I think people take for granted a lot. With that time, how do you guys balance it in terms of training, having like a family, friends, work? How do you balance it? Your social life, just life in general with running.
I feel like I'm not qualified to answer that because I don't have kids. So.
That's right.
My dog Pepsi doesn't count.
There's no balance is the reality.
Yeah.
And anyone who tells you there is balance is lying to you, especially who, when you do these types of things. I think like back to my, I think what I've said before, right? You need, like if I didn't have Britt saying to me, it's okay if you go out in the morning and if the kids wake up at 5:30 or 6 a.m, I've got it. This wouldn't work.
Yeah.
right? Or if it's like, you know, I think balance, you know, you can't be balanced when you do these things. The best thing you can do is try and structure your day the best possible way you can, so that running doesn't become everything, and that you make sure that you're giving back to the people who put so much into everything that you do, right? And that you love, because, you know, the worst thing is in those big training blocks, like my son will come up to me and he'll be like, Daddy, you know, you promised me that you play Lego with me. And I'm like, I know, but I need to go for a run, right? Because I've got to train. And it's those trade-offs, like, what do you do in that scenario? Like, and I've chosen the running sometimes, like, and unfortunately, that's a selfish part in me that's gone. And it's hard to sometimes internalize that, but you know, there isn't a lot of balance, is the reality. And you just do the best you can.
Well, it's a tough sport, isn't it? Because you're training like you're a professional athlete, like a professional athlete would, right? But then you're throwing in an 8-hour working day as well. So it makes it near impossible to balance things.
Yeah. I was even having this conversation with Emma yesterday, having this exact conversation, like how do I balance this? Because you know, let's say yesterday, for example, I'm trying to get my 8 hours sleep, which I don't get home till 1 a.m. So half your morning's already gone before you get out of bed. And then apart from that, I wanted to get to the gym and I wanted to get a run in and then go back to work. And it's like, yeah, something's got to give there. And then I didn't go for a run yesterday because I just didn't have enough time. And then I was a bit disappointed in myself. I was like, I really wanted to get that run in. If I just time managed a bit better, I could have done it. But the conversation with Emma was more about, it's dangerous to do this because then running becomes a chore. And, you know, why did we run in the first place? It was like a freedom, like this wonderful thing we like to do. You don't want to make the thing that you love become a job or a chore. It's a difficult balance.
That's a really tricky one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you sometimes...
the watch challenge that Ben gave us.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that.
This whole week, I used to think, oh, I gotta get out there, get after it. This is gonna be hard. Whereas this week, I'm like, I'll just go out, see how I do. And by the end, I genuinely felt like I'm running faster without a watch than what I am with
I was definitely more relaxed.
Yeah.
During not having a watch, not paying attention to Strava or anything like that.
You can tell yourself as much as you want that you don't care about the stats, but you're still kind of a little bit
You're still
motivated by it.
there.
Yeah.
Even last night when we went up that hill, I wore my watch. I broke the rule, but but the thing is, I kind of didn't because I was so used to not looking at the watch this whole week. I just went up and it's just a hard effort. I didn't even care what time I was at the top because I thought, oh yeah.
As long as I'm beating Dad, I don't care what the time is.
That's not what I
watched
was
the
thinking.
replay of that. I saw Tim went out at the start and then
He
Ollie
bombed
just
it.
So why'd you have the watch on? Was that just to get the time?
Yeah. And I just stopped at the end, but I didn't even look at it the whole time. I genuinely thought Sam had got me. Like he would still keep it. I had no idea what the time was. I just bombed it. But yeah, it's such a cool thing how you can take such a thing away from running, like not making it like a job, you said.
Yeah.
And it was something so simple, like just taking your watch away.
Yeah. Like Emma sort of told me, she said, just go out for a run and actually just go and enjoy the sun, enjoy the course, enjoy breathing, enjoy the pace. Yeah.
It's funny, like sometimes, like if you missed your 80K week, right? Then and you only do 50Ks, it's like, oh, I've dropped, you know, I'm not good enough anymore. Like, oh God, I'm slacking. Like, might as well just drop out of ultra running for good. But like, you know, it's not actually that. It's not that bad, and you put so much pressure. I often think to myself, like, we train like elite athletes, but many of us, not like you, but many of us aren't elite athletes, right? So we train like it, but we know maybe we're not going to ever get to that point, right? And that's okay, but you lose sight of it because you're running with so many people doing the same thing, doing the same hard things. You're looking at Strava and you're going, fuck, Tim just did, I don't know, 2,000 meters of climbing at the UEs. I need to get out there and do. And often you go, well, I might prioritize me going out, but actually, you know, someone's struggling at home with both the kids. And that's not right. That's when it becomes, for me, it gets a little bit on the border of, like the addiction to the running, and you're not doing it for the right reasons and stuff like that. So you do, that's the balance, is the balance of priorities in the moment. Same with your school, right? Like school, work, that has to be, I'm sure Dad's told you this, but that has to be focused, right? Versus the running all the time, because the running is going to be something that you could make a career out of, right? But ultimately, you need something to fall back on. Your plan
You sound
B.
exactly like that right now.
Well, I'd say the same thing to my kids as if they ever became as good as you, and like that's the thing. So it's priorities in the moment, right?
Yeah, 100%. What's what I had come out during King of the Hill when I quit was a part of maybe my personality that I'm not too pleased with, that frustration, that crankiness. What's a part of your personality that only shows up in ultras?
That's something I've been working on too. I've been trying to remain relaxed. I think it is one of my strongest traits, and probably does help me with running a lot, is being able to remain relaxed. But I think I've been called a giant toddler before when running, so perhaps there's a little bit of a childishness which shows in these ultras as well. Yeah,
The whinging.
the whinging.
The whinging. And it's funny because in my house, I always tell my kids, no whinging. Okay. That's like the number one rule. I don't want to hear any whinging. But I whinge all the time. I mean, it's funny, even watching the documentary,
Yeah.
Tim came up to me and he's like, "You've been whinging about this for the last." And it's like, I want to work on that, because it is a thing. Like, why am I whinging so much? It's like, or at least internalize it. Don't say it out loud, but that's the thing.
Yeah. Running is like a metaphor for life, right?
Mm.
What's a really significant thing running has taught you about life as a whole?
That's deep. Running just keeps it keeps giving back, and it has taught me about life that the more honest you are with yourself and with other people, the more life gives back. I think I touched on it earlier on as well. Like, maybe by putting yourself out there, you're and not worrying about what other people think about you, you're being the best version of yourself. You're being honest with yourself, and I think people respect that more as well. So probably that's one of the biggest things that it has taught me as a metaphor for life.
Yeah. Being your authentic self.
Yeah. And the more you put yourself into something, the more it gives back.
Yeah. Or like the authenticity is something that I think is really important, because I know I mean, it's a big part in our sport as well, where the ego for some of those elite runners, and you go, you're such an elite runner, but the authenticity isn't necessarily there. And like, you see that, but they might not see that as well. And I think I do the same thing as well. It's like, it could be, you invite someone out to join you in a run or a thing that you're trying to do, or you just, you're trying to be authentic and connect with someone in the moment. I just want to make sure that authenticity is true. And like, you're being the best, you're being the best person you can be in the moment, when, you're doing the sport that you love as well. And like, it's like being genuine. Like, I remember when, like meeting Tim properly for the first time at DU, I was like, man, I heard that guy was super genuine, but he's super genuine. You were asking me stuff. You were asking me stuff as we were going, and you were like, you were wanting to get to know me, and it came across really authentic. And that's the thing that I took away from that. And I just hope, like, in the moment when I'm doing those types of things, authenticity is a big thing for me as well.
It is for me too, and I think it comes from having maybe a bit of a history of depression or some mental health issues in the past, where I was sort of getting to a point where I was kind of shameful of my past, so I wasn't being my authentic self. So maybe not, I kept my cards close to my chest most of my 30s, and didn't put myself out there, probably for fear of being shot down or something. So that, yeah, running definitely taught me that, like, by being authentic and being honest and putting myself out there, it gave me so much more back and helped me grow as a person and become more confident and love myself ultimately.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the same thing for me. I came to Australia with no big, I didn't have massive plan. I didn't know where this journey was going to come from.
Yeah.
I made sure, it's funny, like I did a lot of partying. I did a lot of, things that at the time I thought was fun. I drank so much, like all these things that I knew were poor choices. And I wasn't being authentic to myself because I never really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I never really enjoyed it that much, but I knew I was doing it to make friends and to have a sense of belonging. And I think now when I've cut all that stuff out, it's taken me, years, but now I'm at a point where it's like I'm actually genuinely being my authentic self. And
Yeah.
I've met people who are doing the same thing as well. So that's been really nice. I think that's the one positive thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You find people that have been on the same journey. Like, yeah, I'm learning about Gatty now. Like, and yeah, I'm looking in a mirror. Like, I was very, very similar. Like, yeah, you're drinking too much, but you think you're doing it for the right reasons, but essentially you're doing it to keep friends that you're not even, maybe not that great of friends with anyway.
Totally.
You're just kind of trying to, keep up appearances, and then you think you're okay. You think you're having fun and having a good time, which maybe you are in the moment, but then you spend a week, buddy, berating yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas doing this thing we call ultra running is it's rewarding in so many ways and without the hangovers.
Yeah, do you reckon that ultra running journey has kind of healed that part of you that was maybe a little bit lost, like that went down that path of, I'm actually not, like you touched on it, like I'm actually not sure whether I actually like doing these things that I'm doing, but you're kind of just doing it because it seems like the normal thing to do, and then you kind of went on this ultra running journey where you kind of, and it can be a lonely place. We spoke about it with Alex on the podcast, where you're this one person and you got this group of friends and all that, and then you're not quite the ultra runner or this new identity that you've got, and then the healing process in between it. It's a lonely place.
This is a big thing for me because there's a moment where you're going through, so you're not quite there in terms of the ultra runner identity of where you want to be, but you are migrating away from that old life, and it's a lonely world to be in the middle, and no one really talks about that space very much, but it's the loneliest place because you lose your friends. They stop your so-called friends, they stop calling you. You're pretty much on your own. You got to rebuild your community and your network, and you also got to figure out why you're doing the things that you're doing, which is like get up every morning. When I was doing this race, the GSCR, I was up every morning at 5 a.m. I was going to the 1,000 steps. I was climbing in the dark. It was frigging cold. And I was going to myself, why am I doing it? And that was the point. That was actually a moment where I had the degree of separation. And you don't realize how lonely it is in that space.
Yeah.
The hard thing is the unknown.
Oh yeah, am I going to get there?
Yeah, these people talk about this leap that you got to take, and then it's a lonely place. But how long? That no one ever says how long that lasts. Yeah. So you might only be a week into it and go, no, "This is not good. I'm going back." And then, but I often see, even with friends that have, come to running, and they'll do it for 3 or 4 months, and then they'll just go back to their bad habits, and then you get other people say, oh, they went back to their bad habits. It's like, no, they're kind of walking out as far as they can, and then they're kind of scampering back because it's been a lonely place. They're not quite there, or they might be getting injured. They're like, I'm not a runner. I'm all these things. But then you see them come back maybe 6 months later, and then this time they went for 6 months. Yeah, right? And then the following time, and then they finally, and then next minute they detach from their old self, and they're their new self. And it doesn't have to be a runner. Yeah. It can be whatever, like vices that you might be running away from, or bad habits, or whatever it may be. So
yeah, it's an interesting thought. It's like you can get to a point where eventually you take off the training wheels and then you're on your own. Yeah. It's true though. But I think like yours. Yeah, it's a lonely place in the middle, but I think for me, I was sort of lonely at the start as well. So that I I think I found more acceptance in that place because, yeah, like I spoke about earlier, you find this community of like-minded people and people that accept you and people that want to be your friend and people that want to see you do better for yourself. And yeah, that was sort of what dragged me from past Joel into ultra runner Joel.
And it was funny when I started making those choices around running, and not necessarily ultra running, but just running, everything got better.
Yeah.
Everything got better. Like, and like I started doing really well at work. I started making more friends. I started being a better partner. They actually wanted to marry me. God knows why. We had kids coming along. Like everything blossomed, and it wouldn't have blossomed if I hadn't have found that and made those choices in that lonely place if I hadn't have made those choices. So
do you think it was a conscious decision? Like, do you think there was a moment where you decided your identity would be ultra running, or was it a natural progression?
it was a weird thing. I just fell into it, and I look back and I go, how? I mean, like, to be honest, 10 years ago, I was coming out of a huge party phase of my life, which you can imagine what all of that encompassed. I was a 20 a day smoker, right? And I drank almost like I would say a bottle every 2 nights of wine, right? Just wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to the point where I was going, well, like, what am I actually doing with my life? Like, I'm showing up and people were like, yeah, Gatty, and I was like, that's not me. Like, that's actually not me. I don't want to be that guy. And, you go through this moment where in your 20s, it's really cool. And then you get to the end of your 20s and you go, this isn't cool.
It's less cool.
It's less cool. I think often people, that's how they fall into it, is they go through a moment. And unfortunately, I've seen people who have carried down the same path that they're going down, and it's not worked out so well for them. So I think you actually have to force yourself to make the choice.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the other option?
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember that vividly as well. That moment I made a choice as well. And that was probably, it was coming out of COVID. It was during COVID actually, where it was like, just, you're lonely anyway, because there's no support. You can't socialize anyway. And you're probably stuck in these bad habits. And eventually it was like, something's got to give here. Something's got to change. And that's where it's like, oh, I'm allowed to run 5K from my house. Let's pick up this hobby again. Probably something I hadn't sort of touched for a few years. So get it back up. Yeah. Start running.
Okay, so our last question coming from us before we get into our listener questions. What do you want your running legacy to be?
I think similar to what Gatty touched on before, it's like you want to have these stories. So, you only get one shot at this life. You only get one go at being rock and roll Joel. So,
Sex bomb rock and roll Joel.
I was talking to Merlin ultra runner. He's doing his tip to sort of toe journey at the moment. I was having a chat with him and he said, you only get one shot at being rock and roll Joel sex bomb Sexton in this life, so make it a good one. So you kind of do like, you only get one shot, so why would you make it a vanilla one? Like, create a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, go hard or go home. Like I want to leave a legacy, not for anyone else but my kids, which is just like, you have one shot at this. Like, give it everything that you've got. You can always achieve things that you probably thought were impossible, and if that means burying yourself every couple of months in a big race, go for it. Why not? I think it's more like how you pass on. So I'd love to be, I think we'll be sitting in an old people's home one day talking about this, trying to pass with Tim, obviously. Trying to pass down some wisdom.
Ollie will be feeding us soup.
You guys will be passing the fire torch.
Yeah, I can picture that. I like that idea of just having stories, having experiences. Feeling like you lived. That's part of legacy, right?
We'll get into some listener questions. There's some pretty good ones here, and there's some they're very specific to you guys. So especially the first one. So you're both quite tall runners. What challenges come up being, almost you're about 6 foot, you're about 6'10", and
You
like
could basically say
what challenges have come up for you being such a tall ultra runner, and how have you overcome them? Because like we've had to try and fit you on these cameras, and that hasn't been an easy job itself. So what are some of the challenges you normally come up with?
Well, I did headbutt this as I walked in.
Well, chandelier in here.
Yeah, the podcast, hitting my head during the podcast. No, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's been too negative. Like perhaps there is like a thing in my body that makes it more difficult for me to do it. Like maybe I have worse knees or worse something. But I mean, it's just something I got to work with. I haven't seen it as too big a negative. Like perhaps I'm carrying more weight than anyone else because I'm a taller guy, so maybe that puts more load on my body. But I haven't really noticed it. I think I'm going all right.
How have you overcome that? Like if you're aware that you're a bigger runner,
Yeah.
how have you kind of overcome? Are you doing more strength work and things like that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I'm not even sure if it is an issue. Like I mean, I know that I'm heavier than you because I'm 6 inches taller than you or whatever, 8 inches taller than you.
Yep.
But does that mean that I'm putting more load through my lower legs because I'm carrying that, or is the ratio correct because my feet are bigger or my muscles are bigger or something? So
You probably do have an issue with shoe sizes.
I do have an issue with shoe sizes. Maybe that's where this question
That's where the issue is.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, there was a point, like when I was younger, I was like, I'd just gone from size 14 to size 15. And that's like that limit where it's like 14, you can still get away with most shops, and 15 is like special order online. And I think I was like, no, I don't want to be 15. I willed myself into being a size 14 again. No, so I'm sort of somewhere floating in between there, which is difficult. So there's been a lot of trial and error as to what shoes work. So generally I'm ordering online. You kind of hope for the best a lot of the time, but yeah, that is a challenge. Yeah, you're right.
Do most of those sites actually offer the sizes that you
No,
do?
most of them stop at 14.
So how do you get them? Obviously, to the special.
So it's just like finding the right lines that go to it. Like, speed goats thankfully go to size 15, but like ATRs don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like finding the right line of shoes that help me out. And, some 14s I get away with, whereas some I don't. So yeah, that is a challenge.
Do you have any issues?
Well, running down steep technical descents, like for me, everything, if you're a taller runner, everything looks like the worst possible scenario if you fall, because you're not closer to the ground, you're worse away.
Center of gravity's up here.
Oh, totally. So I'm always a bit slower than everyone when I go downhill, but I've been trying to work on it with this concept of the handbrake in the car, which is like, you don't need to be accelerating, but you just need to take the handbrake off and let it feel like you're just cruising, right?
Yeah.
And you're just flowing. And that's been really helpful for me recently, because I feel like I've been getting better with that. It's like, take the handbrake off. It's like, okay, now I can start floating a bit more. Whereas before it was like, stop, accelerate, stop, put the brake on. And it was just too much. So
Yeah.
If there was one race you could win excluding prizes and money, what would it be? Any race in the world.
Excluding prizes.
Yeah, well, it could be with prizes.
Yeah, not using prize money as an
incentive sort of thing. Man, it's got to be bigs, right? Individual world champs.
Yeah.
Beat Phil Gore at his own game.
Oh, the dream.
The dream. No, I think that's the ultimate. Like that's the sport I'm throwing myself into, and being at the peak of that would be the best. Yeah.
I mean, it would never happen, but
never know.
Not with that attitude.
Believe in yourself. No, this is too. But I often watch the Western States, and I love watching it. And I just think, like, to be able to if you won that race, I mean, you can't even imagine the feeling, right, of like finishing that. Being Jim Walmsley. It'd just be incredible. So yeah,
mine's the exact same. I was saying to Dad, I'm like, that's a good question. What would it be? And it's Western States. I think that's the pinnacle of the
Let's listen to
sport.
questions for our guests.
Sorry, yeah, sorry. Sorry.
I
Wait,
agree,
Dave,
though.
But
Dave,
if
Dave,
anyone wants
what
to
would
know.
you? What would you? Want?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
King of the hill.
Yeah, King of the Hill would be nice.
Barclays.
Yeah. Oh, Barclays would be a good one too. Oh, yeah. I reckon. I was almost thinking DU, but now that you're throwing Barclays in there, yeah, Barclays would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
probably pick Barclays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
cool
I could
one.
see you winning that, by the way.
Mm.
Like, genuinely, if you
Oh,
put it
yeah.
in,
Yeah, I'd like to. I've
I'd
got
like
to do
to
it
see him
sooner
win
than
it. I'd
later.
like to see him win it too.
yeah.
All right,
thanks.
back to the
All right.
to our
So,
guests.
what piece of running gear made the biggest difference for you on a race day?
I can go the
Yeah.
cream. The cream. You need to make sure that you have got the right type of cream. So, like I have suffered from chafing in the early days of races, and it's completely pulled me out of a race right early. And so, just make sure that you're creaming everything. And what people don't see is like I actually wear also. My wife's gonna hate me say this, but. I tape my nipples and
we
I
all
will,
do.
but I will leave it there. Like I'll have like, so it'll just be on there for the whole week. Right. And I often kind of go like, why do I even need them? I've actually thought about, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go down the surgical path, but I've gone, why do I need them? I'm using so much tape and it's added up. She's like, just stop. But yeah, I think chafe cream and and the tape for the nipples, the biggest factor.
Yeah, I'd probably go the toe taping and toe socks for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just protects everything down there, and I haven't had issues since I've started taping toes.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, super important, isn't it?
I'll
Like,
let that from you. That was you.
yeah. Oh, my feet aren't great. I lose all my toenails every bloody
Again,
race.
that's the advantage of making mates with a bloke who's been doing it for 12 years longer than me.
Yeah. I've made some mistakes. It's just pulled me out of race, blisters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pulled me out of races.
Okay, so this is similar to the question before. If you're only allowed one race and then you retire, what would it be? Only one more race in your whole career.
That's an easy one for me. Would be Down Under.
Yeah.
That it would be. I can't. I'd still live with the demons and not finishing. I have to, and I hope they bring it back. Please bring it back. Because I can't. It's the thing inside me that's just can't settle. So if they don't bring it back, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Just do it yourself. You don't need to pay for
I'm
it.
literally just gonna, I'm literally gonna take the GPX file, say goodbye to my wife and kids, hope I don't die, go out there and do it myself, and I'm gonna finish it.
If you don't see me in 4 days, maybe call this number.
And I'll just borrow Tim's like plate. Yeah.
Can I borrow
did
this
it.
dish? Yeah. For me, it would be Biggs. Yeah, I've been there luckily, crewing you, but I would like to have that experience of earning that spot myself. So if I could get there and that was my last race, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be happy with that.
That's cool. All right, last question from our listeners. Do you wish you had have discovered ultra running earlier in your life?
Reminds me of a quote I heard the other day. Who was that? It was probably Ollie. I probably saw it on a reel from Ollie. But it was, there are two. Let me think. It was
Is it you have two lives?
no, it's not that. It's so if one person says, I wish I started running 20 years ago or 10 years ago or something, then you say, well, the second best time to start
Yeah, I know.
running
It's talking.
is
It's
right
Kipchoge.
now.
Yeah.
Is it Kipchoge?
Yeah, I
is
think
it?
it's Kipchoge. He
Yeah,
says like
awesome.
he's like the best time to plant a seed was 20 years ago,
Yeah,
but the second best time is now.
yeah, exactly. So do I wish I started 10 years ago? Yeah, I mean, probably you'd be better at it, but I mean, I'm still happy I found it now, and maybe my entire experience would have been different had I started it a long time ago. Like, I kind of feel like, I've got this universe thing going on that I needed to have all the experiences I've had in my life so far to get to where I am right now. So, even if there's been bad experiences or good experiences or whatever, I had to go through them to get to where I am now, and I'm really happy with where I am now. So I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm loving life at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm actually glad I didn't find ultra running earlier, because I reckon if I hadn't have done made some of those poor choices, I might be making them now.
Yeah.
I might be bored with what I'm doing and going, oh, actually, I've never experienced doing that. I'm gonna go do that, and it's just like, no, that would just be a terrible
Might go and
decision.
punch 20 darts and have
Just
a,
might-
have a
yeah.
bottle of wine.
That's it. But yeah, like, yeah, I'm. It arrived in my life at the right time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It was something I didn't realize I needed until it
Mm.
was in my lap, basically.
That's
Yeah.
a good one to finish on. Let's bring this one across the finish line, eh?
We'll bring it across.
So, as you guys know, we have a Better by Next Week challenge every week that Ollie and I do, and we normally set it for ourselves. But as the guests, we would love it if you guys could set our challenges. Hopefully, not too hard, but
No cold showers. No cold showers.
that's been the worst one. So, as long as it's below that threshold, it'd be nice. But yeah, if you could set one each, or yeah, so
Well, Gatty and I did have a discussion earlier in the week, and I think Gatty's got one for both of you, if that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I want you both to write down 3 things that you want the other one to accomplish this year. Okay. I then want you to show that to Rach and to Mish, and then I want you to put it in a bottle, and I want you to bury it and use it as a time capsule that you're going to dig up in a year's time. Okay. Now, the idea is that they've got to encourage you across the next year to achieve that goal. And I think the important thing is actually, it's not about you two anymore pushing each other. It's actually about the broader support network that you've got. And they're going to know, but you can't ask them, okay? Because they're not going to tell you, but they're going to try and drive you towards those goals that you both have.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And that's a podcast in itself. We're digging up the
Yeah.
time capsule.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I like
Cool.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's awesome. Yeah, no,
But yeah.
I think that's one of our more
That's one of
very
our
creative.
most creative challenge. But that's going to be
It's-
really cool to
I
see
think
how
it's
Rach
awesome.
and Mish don't give it away. And you're going to be asking them every
I'm
single
going to be telling him you're getting 100 hours at
Yeah,
Sachin,
you don't know what
100
it is.
hours at King of it.
Oh, geez, poor mum. Yeah, she's gonna be like, "It's okay, bub. Trust yourself. I know you can go back to back 100 hour races in
She's
2
going to
weeks.
be carrying you up that hill so that you can get 100
Oh,
hours.
poor mum. I guess we'll finish up. I guess I'd like to ask both of you, like, what does the future hold for 2026 for you, Joel?
I'm going to start the year with the Hardcore Harry's challenge of last one standing. So, yeah, try and last as long as I can. I would like to just do all of January, and I see that as a good preseason for the rest of the year. So next year, I'll be doing No Time to Die in May, and I'll be using that to qualify for Sat Champs team, which will be later in the year, which I'll be doing as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Gatty, what's 2026 got for you?
So Feb 27th, I'll be doing Jake's last run home, which is an event I've put on 100 miles of the Megasaur, which is going to be hopefully an amazing weekend, and we're going to raise awareness of sort of mental health for the Black Dog Institute, which is good in Jake Wolf's name. In addition to that, I've got King of the Hill, and then a week later, I've got the GPT 100 miler. So
Awesome.
We
Yeah.
can share notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Well, you've inspired me to
wow.
actually go. My wife thinks I'm stupid, but I probably am. We'll see.
Yeah, well, thanks again for coming on the podcast. Ollie and I really appreciate it. You guys, it's been an awesome chat.